of knowledge, I'm sure you can describe what happens to yokogeri, that is, gari and beans, when it begins its journey in the mouth. You can, can't you? We begin this subject by looking at reproduction in flowering plants. In one of our previous discussions, we classified plants into flowering and non-flowering plants. Can you give examples of flowering plants in your community?
Maize.
Good. That is a good example. What again?
Beans.
That is also correct. Yes?
Cocoa.
Nice.
Mango.
Well done. Very good. These are very good examples of flowering plants. We shall be looking at the flowery parts of plants and find out how these flowering plants reproduce. I'm very sure that by the end of the lesson, you should be able to 1. State the main methods of reproduction in flowering plants. 2. State the main processes of sexual reproduction in flowering plants. 3. Identify the main parts of an insect-pollinated flower. 4. State the functions of the parts of an insect-pollinated flower. We have known reproduction as the production of new individuals by living things of their type. I have with me here a number of flowering plants. Amaranthus is here. I also have Tridax here. They are all plants that produce by forming flowers. Therefore, they are all flowering plants. These are different types of flowers that I have with me here. This is a flower of alamander. This is also a flower of flamboyant. And I have flowers from the pride of Barbados. Our studio friends will help us identify the main parts of these insect-pollinated flowers. What is a flower then? A flower is a sexual reproductive organ which carries out a number of sexual reproduction processes leading to the production of seeds. Now, let us examine carefully the flower of the flamboyant or the pride of Barbados. I have with me the flower flamboyant. And this is also a flower I've given you something on the Pride of Barbados as a toffee. Pick it. Yes. That flower you are having has not opened yet. So we say that flower is at the bud stage. If the flower is at the bud stage, then the sepals fold up to cover the other parts of the flower completely, giving them protection. I'm removing all the sepals at the bud stage. Remove your sepals from the bud stage. They are the outermost portion. Try and peel them off. You still observe that this flower is not opened yet. I've removed all the spindle-like structures. These are the sepals. And I still have my flower not opened. That is, the flower is at the bud stage. Now we move on to look at the brightly colored fan-shaped structures. So after removing the sepals, you still have some brightly colored structures that appear like fan. There are 5. One looks smallish, very small, modified, and the other 4 are bigger. Are you observing?
Yes.
Have you seen the 5 of them? Count, there are 5. There are 4 bigger ones, 1 smaller one. Have you observed?
Yes.
Good. We are going to peel off all the 4 big ones and leave the small one. So peel the 4 fan-shaped structures, brightly colored, down and leave the small one attached. Good. The small structure left is bowing or trying to turn towards the broom-like structure standing. Have you observed?
Yes.
We are going to look at that one. But those structures you have removed, the fan-like, brightly colored structures removed, are all known as petals. One is a petal. Many of them put together may be referred to as petals of the flower. The sepals are protecting the flower. They are also attracting insects for pollination. What then will be the biological function of the petals? Petals attract living agents such as birds and insects to the flower to cause pollination. Again, petals protect the sexual or essential parts of the flower at the bud stage. So you pick your bud flower again. Now you agree with me that the petals are still folded. That means they are trying to protect a very essential part of the flower. They are the sexual male and female parts of the flower. So if you like, try to remove the petals at the bud stage. Gently. So I am seeing the broom-like structure standing, but they are folded. These broom-like structures standing are the male and female parts of the flower. Now we come back to our original flower. Pick your Pride of Barbados. As I take my flamboyant flower. we have one petal still left. That is the smallest petal among the 5 petals on the flower. The name of this petal is modified or snowy petal. Modified or snowy petal. Why has this petal been modified? It has a special role, a special biological function to play so far as reproduction of the flowering plant is concerned. This modified petal directs the insect or bird to reach the base of the flower, which contains nectar. We're going to break this modified petal off. There is a nice hole, see whether you can identify it, to the base of the flower. That helps the proboscis of the insect to reach the base for the nectar. There is a hole here, and the snowy petal is folded, forming something like a tube. The mouth part is passed through that tube into the hole here to reach the base of the flower. We should note, however, that not all flowers have the modified or snowy petal. Example, the flower of hibiscus, the flower of the okra, all do not have the snowy or modified petal. A collection or a group of petals on a flower is known as the corolla. This means all the 5 petals removed from the flamboyant flower together form the corolla. Note once again that a collection of sepals form a calyx. And a collection of petals form corolla. Observe what you have left after the sepals and the petals have been peeled away. What is left is a broom-like structure standing upright. Count carefully all the broom-like structures standing and tell me the number you have.
11.
Yes, 11. These 11 structures are made up of 10 males and 1 female. Try to identify these. The males are the stamen. They have swollen structures at their end, as if we have men wearing hats. Try to peel them off. You have the middle one standing without a structure on top. Remove all the male-like structures. You'll be left with a rod-like structure here. Now let's go back to the structures we have removed. Pick one with a swollen end. The whole structure is known as the stamen. Be careful, the word is stamen and not stamen. When it is plural, we say stamens. The stamen is the male part of the flower, and it consists of two parts: the anther, which is the swollen end, and the filament, which is the elongated structure supporting the anther. Now we look at the biological function of the stamen. The anther produces and stores pollen grains. The pollen grains appear as yellowish powdery structures or materials. The pollen grains contain the male gametes or male sex cells, because we are dealing with sexual reproduction in the flowering plant. The filament is the stand that holds or supports the anther at a suitable position for a successful pollination. Now, we have noted that a collection of sepals is known as calyx. A collection of petals is known as corolla. What about a collection of stamens? A collection of stamens together form an androecium. So I have my 10 stamens on the flamboyant flower, all together forming the androecium. We are now observing a single elongated structure left standing, appearing like a rod. This part of the flower is known as the pistil. Pistil. It is the female part of the flower. If the stamen is the male part of the flower, then the pistil is the female part of the flower. The pistil consists of the stigma at the tip, the style, an elongated structure here holding the stigma, then a swollen base called the ovary. So for the pistil, we are identifying the stigma, the style, and the ovary. But each ovary will contain a number of tiny structures called ovules. We shall quickly look at the functions of the parts of the pistil. First, we consider the stigma. The stigma receives pollen grains during pollination. The style is the long stalk that holds or supports the stigma as a suitable point for a successful pollination. The style serves as a tube through which the pollen tube moves during the time of fertilization. The ovary develops to form the fruit of the plant. So during fruit formation, it is the ovary that grows, that becomes bigger to form the fruit. The orange fruit sometime was an ovary on the orange flower. This is my Pride of Barbados flower. In the course of development, all parts have dropped, with the petals standing, showing the ovary, the style, and the stigma. The ovary has grown bigger. It has grown bigger. It has grown bigger. And it has dried up into a nice fruit. The ovary develops into a fruit, and the ovules in the ovary develop into seeds. Until next time, when we meet to continue our discussion of the reproductive processes in plants, enjoy your independent discovery. Goodbye.